downtown where you can get a date for 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original social marketplace price. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. A German woman caused a firestorm of controversy on social media when she said that black women were no competition for the affections of black men.
Black American women are no competition, and that's how I got my man. That is what a lot of people think I said in one of my YouTube videos, which is going viral on all social media platforms at this moment. I mean, TikTok, X, YouTube, Instagram, whatever platform you're looking for, you will see my face with that caption on that video. And you cannot imagine, the shitstorm from certain women is like a bad, really bad case of diarrhea right now. But luckily, at the same time, there are a lot of people who agree with my overall message, which is always, any average man deserves a fit, cooperative, feminine wife, especially in today's modern society. But without any further ado, let's dive into the clip that got a lot of women upset and a lot of content creators paid. Let's dive into it.
If you just shut up, that no black woman's not competition for us. A German white woman, very beautiful, gorgeous. Oh, she trashing black women? I don't want to say she's trashing them, but she's putting them in their place.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a snippet out of a whole YouTube video where I was talking about how my basic daily activities have impressed and impacted my husband's daily routine. I mean, it is just what it is. And you know what? A lot of women out there should apply that knowledge that I'm trying to give to you for free. Tell me, where did you hear me say that black American women are no competition? I was not even talking about black American women in particular. I never said anything like that I am better than them. I never said anything like I have better qualities than a black American woman. No, I'm always talking about modern Western women in general. And by the way, a huge shout out and thank you to everyone who was listening with their ears instead of using their emotions, because when you compare the caption of the video that I didn't even put on the video to the words that were coming out of my mouth, the caption had nothing to do with the words that I was saying. I mean, honestly, I was talking about the American family structure, if you were able to get the message that I was trying to bring to you. Yes, I did say the average black American family barely has a family unit. Not even in that statement, I generalized all black families in America that they don't have a family unit. I lived in America for 2 years and I've seen a lot of messed up things in black households, white households, and I very soon came to the conclusion, coming from a traditional household, that there is something seriously wrong that's going on in those households in America. And I was flabbergasted at the amount of disrespect an average American man would have to deal with coming from the woman of the household. I mean, these women, not only that they were disrespectful, they were lazy too. And I heard them speak a certain way to their children that had me in complete shock. I mean, I remember this one situation where this woman called her teenage son bitch, and I couldn't believe my ears. Even if that was supposed to be a joke in that moment, that word is doing something to that child. How is it going to grow up thinking it's okay that a woman is calling that boy bitch? I mean, let's be real. But enough said, let's dive into a few comments of a couple of women under my video who have a lot of love for me. You know what? I love you too. He was homeless, curious to why no Russian man wifed her if she had family values. We stay rent-free in everyone's head. Or, why is everyone obsessed with us? Or, who wants something from the store? Nobody's obsessed with you, honey, trust me. Those are the ones we don't want, sis. You're good. These women are so delusional, they are absolutely obsessed with themselves. Now, honestly, what justifies these women making comments like this? Am I the problem, or are they maybe the problem? I'll tell you what the issue is. They have a huge problem with someone who treats an American black man very, very well. And that's the problem they have, because they think no man deserves to be treated well if he doesn't pay. Excuse me, that doesn't even make any sense to me. If I can only be nice to you when you pay me, that makes me a whole prostitute. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just call it for what it is. You can get upset if you want to. The truth is always going to be the truth. And on this channel, all you will find is the truth, whether if you like it or not. I mean, isn't it true that the majority of modern women nowadays don't want the average man because they are just not good enough for this boss babe? But at the end of the day, these women forget, which makes them so delusional, these women forget that some of them, a lot of them, are below average. I mean, how can you sit there and put yourself on a pedestal, expect all men to do the same because you're wearing fake hair, because you're wearing fake lashes, because you have lip fillers, cheekbone fillers, forehead lip fillers, you are wearing certain type of clothes that make your body look a certain way. But once all of that comes off, I don't know who we're supposed to put on the pedestal. Surely not your ass. I also know for a fact that 90% of these women who are in that comment section are single. Single by choice, you know, because the average man is not good enough. Oh, but coincidentally, that high value man is not checking for them either. So of course you're going to be single by choice. Who are you even kidding? And you cannot tell me that you're coming home every night and you're happy with no man that's waiting for you. No man you can cuddle with. No man that's going to help you, protect you, provide all of the security for you. You're always talking about that you can do all of that yourself. If you can, why are so many of you all over the social media platform just breaking down in your car, crying that you are sick and tired of being single? It doesn't make any sense to me. Can you please make it make sense? Women really need to stop thinking that their looks only is everything a man is looking for in a woman. I'm gonna tell you one thing, the culture I come from, my Turkish culture, we take pride as women if we can go to work, take care of the household, contribute to the household, and take care of our loved ones. Some of you are out there don't even know what that means. I mean, honestly, what do you bring to the table besides you being the table? Let's break those words down. What does it even mean, you being the table? You have a career, good for you. You have a nice car, good for you. You have a good sense of humor, good for you. You're good looking, good for you. But what is a man supposed to do with all of that? Wipe his ass? A man doesn't need you for that. Do you really think that a man is going to put up with you? You looking good, you got your career, you got your car, but when he comes home, you're going to create a whole bunch of drama? No, he's not going to be with you. A lot of women are broken. Their ego is way too big for them. And you cannot tell me that a lot of women aren't broken, because if somebody is not mad at something, and most of the time these women are mad at themselves, really, women would not act like that in the comment section. They will not insult me. I mean, there are so many comments, I couldn't even put it all in one video without the video being maybe an hour long. There are so many insulting comments, even towards my husband. They don't even know the man. There's a reason why I keep my husband private. You may see a picture here, you may see a picture there. But at the end of the day, I know how shysty these women are. They would be on the internet, send him messages, send him nudes, send him all these things. So if you don't want that average man, why are you doing all of these things? What you should be really doing instead is listen to my advice and other content creators' advice and try to self-correct and try to apply some of these things that I'm mentioning in my videos in your relationship and see how that impacts your relationship.
Now, this German woman caused a firestorm of controversy when she made the statement that black women cannot compete against her for the attentions and affections of black men. And this statement basically got a lot of black women extremely emotional regarding not being able to compete against her for the attentions and affections of black men. And it also made many of these individuals in the manosphere look to go out here and validate her argument, look to validate her argument based on the emotional reaction to her statement without doing any sort of critical thinking regarding it. Now, when I listened to this German woman's statement as related to black women not being able to compete against her for the attentions and affections of black men, I basically knew how disingenuous this woman was being, and I knew how disingenuous she was being as related to this statement, because when it comes to many white women like her, they basically don't really have to compete for the attention and affection of anyone in society, regardless of race, because the system of white supremacy gives her a benefit over all other women, gives her a benefit over all other women, because the system of white supremacy is designed to prevent women who are white from being able to compete against anyone. Now, in the system of white supremacy, it is designed so that people who are white or white identified can go out here and receive benefits in a system that artificially gives them all sorts of benefits above all others in society. And like Professor Black Truth has said in many of his videos, the system of white supremacy is designed to give white people all sorts of goodies, giveaways, and benefits over other people. And what they want to do in the system of white supremacy is give a white man an economic advantage over all other men of other races. And what they want to do for the white woman is basically give her a social advantage over all other women in the social marketplace. Now, many people will look at the system of white supremacy from the white male perspective, but won't really take a critical look at it from the perspective of the white woman. And that is by design, because in the gynocentric system of white supremacy, the gynocentric system of white supremacy is designed to protect the white woman, and it's designed to protect the white woman because what they want to do is make sure that the moral position of white supremacy is maintained, and they want to make sure that the culture of white supremacy is preserved. And like the late David Carroll said, as related to the old African proverb, a race can rise no higher than the moral position of its women, and as the woman goes, so goes the race. When it comes to the white woman, her moral position basically has been compromised from minute one, and what she wants to do is preserve the system of white supremacy, because that allows her to be the woman at the top of the social pecking order. And as she's at the top of the social pecking order, what she wants to do is continue receiving all of the benefits that she receives from men of all races, and preserve her high social status that is given to her by white men and reinforced by the social pecking order of white supremacy, which is programmed to make many men of different races, including black men who are at the bottom of the social pecking order, believe that she is the ultimate ideal of beauty, believe that she is the ultimate ideal of a woman, and believe that she is the ultimate ideal as related to the woman that you want to have a relationship with. The white woman receives many benefits under the system of white supremacy, and she doesn't want to go out here and give up those benefits, because if she had to give up those benefits, she would actually have to compete in the social marketplace. And the white woman doesn't want to compete in the social marketplace, because competing in the social marketplace means that she would have to earn things based on merit, and the white woman doesn't want to earn things based on merit. No, she doesn't want to earn anything based on merit. No, what she wants to do is continue receiving those benefits that she has not earned. So what she wants to do is collude with the white man to preserve the system of white supremacy. And to preserve the system of white supremacy, what they want to do is go out and eliminate their competition. And what they want to do as they look to eliminate their competition is basically get people to not see other women like black women as attractive. So in an effort to preserve the system of white supremacy, what many of these white women do is create propaganda that is anti-black, create anti-black propaganda to demonize the image of the black woman so that she can appear to be less attractive than the white woman, and use that propaganda in society to mentally condition people to see the black woman as less than. And as they get people to see the black woman as less than, what happens is that the black woman starts to believe these ideals, And as she starts to believe these ideals, what she develops is a bad case of self-hatred. And as she develops that bad case of self-hatred, what this does is cause the black woman to have an inferiority complex about herself. And as she has this inferiority complex about herself, what she does is basically not look to compete in the social marketplace, and basically start to become her own worst enemy, and starts to basically subconsciously start to eliminate herself in the social marketplace. And this is something that is done by design in the system of white supremacy ever since the foundation of this country, and the West, since slaves were imported. What they have been looking to do is go out here and demonize the image of the black woman so that the white woman can appear to be more attractive in comparison. And as people buy into that system of white supremacy, what they do is look to climb an imaginary social ladder, believing that the white woman is the ultimate ideal of beauty, believe that the white woman is the ultimate ideal of womanhood, and believe that being with a white woman basically will elevate their social status, believe that being with a white woman will basically elevate them to the highest level as related to being socially accepted. This is the narrative that white supremacy subconsciously promotes in society, but many black women don't really understand this at all. Now, in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, I go in depth on how many white women look to eliminate black women as competition, and look to eliminate black women as competition because many white women, again, want to maintain that position at the highest level of society. And as they look to maintain that position in the highest levels of society, what they want to do is make sure that not only are white men going after white women, but they want to make sure that other men, including black men, are chasing them so that they can have the most options in society as related to the social pecking order, and get the access to the most resources out of all the men in society. Because if white women had to actually compete based on character and not color, a lot of them basically wouldn't be able to compete, because when you have a woman who basically has to compete based on character, she cannot just go based on having the advantage of looks and have the advantage of people being conditioned to believe that she's an ideal, because the standard of beauty, if it were a fair standard, not with white supremacy, it would be one where men would be going on their subjective perceptions of women and not the ideals of white supremacy. So what the white woman wants to do is, again, keep those benefits for herself. And that's the thing that this German woman isn't telling you in her rant that she's making in these videos that went viral. She's not telling you that when it comes to the white woman, that the white woman has received a tremendous advantage in society by the white man basically elevating her to that high status level. Now, as a writer, I talk about the issues as related to black women and white women, something people don't really talk about as related to race and beauty. And I did it in two of my books. I did it in a book called All About Marilyn, about a faded former black actress who basically runs into issues with white women who don't really like her because she's slender and attractive. And in The Temptation of John Haynes, I have a scene where Esteem, an attractive black woman, is basically racially profiled in a store. And I talk about how the issues of racism that black women deal with white women, have to deal with as related to society. And again, this is something many black people don't talk about, and many black women don't talk about, because some black women don't want to talk about it because they don't understand it, and others don't want to talk about it because they basically are intimidated by white women and don't want to upset the apple cart as related to the social pecking order, where they are at the bottom of society, and they don't want to upset the apple cart with white women because some black women basically want to get the attentions and affections of white men. So they don't really talk about the issues that black women have as related to white women, and how white women have created a society where they have eliminated black women as competition. Now, there was a time when black women did compete in the social marketplace, and that was the period between the end of slavery and the 1960s, before the feminist movement came along, and when black women were able to compete in the social marketplace for the attentions and affections of black men. They basically had no real competition. They had no real competition because when it came to the marketplace, many white women didn't really want anything to do with black men due to things like Jim Crow and the unwritten social rules of racism in the North. So many of those black women were able to compete in a social marketplace, and as they were able to compete, many of those women were able to gain the attentions and affections of heterosexual black men, and many of those women were able to find husbands. They were able to find husbands because in that system of Jim Crow, basically they were looking to, again, use the demonization of the image of the black woman to make her appear to be unattractive, with caricatures like the mammy, an obese black woman who basically was asexual, a Jezebel who was sexually promiscuous, a sapphire who was emasculating, and with these dehumanizing caricatures, many black women wanted to show how human they were, and as they showed how human they were basically able to compete in the social marketplace for the attentions and affections of black men, and they were able to compete for those affections of black men to the point where black women and black men were the most married members of American society, because as the black woman was able to compete in a marketplace where she had access to black men, she was able to become the top pinnacle of beauty and the standard of black beauty until about the late 1960s, when integration was implemented. And when integration was implemented, this caused a generational shift, because this is where black women basically started to side with the feminist movement. And as they sided with the feminist movement, basically this is where a lot of black women gave in to their desire to become like white women. And a lot of black women wanted to become like white women because they wanted to be elevated to that high social status in Western society. They wanted to be on that pedestal that the white woman was on. And as they looked to be on that pedestal as related to the social order of Western society, basically she couldn't see how the white supremacist was looking to take her from being at a position in the top of black society and then knock her all the way back down to the bottom of all society. Now, what the white supremacists wanted to do to eliminate her competition was go out here and manipulate the narrative of integration to make the black woman believe that she could be just like the white woman if she became a part of the feminist movement. Now, many black women basically wanted that whole social status, and they wanted to be like white women, not understanding that in the system of white supremacy, the feminist basically was at the bottom of society. She was at the bottom of society because her behaviors were just unattractive and undesirable, and instead of her looking to be a helpmeet to a man, she was basically looking to be competition to a man. And this was the core reason why many men of all races avoided women who were like feminists, because those feminists basically, while they were female, were not women. And many black women didn't understand the difference between a feminist and a woman. And I go in depth on that in my book, The Woman Crisis. There's a difference between a feminist and a woman. A woman basically, again, wants to submit to God and serve in her role in God's order as a helpmeet to a man and a partner to a man, whereas a feminist basically is a female who basically wants to take or usurp the position of a man in God's order as the head and wants to compete against a man. And this is the reason why the feminist was unattractive. However, many black women didn't understand why the feminist was unattractive and looked to identify with the traits of the feminist, believing that this would make her just like a white woman and make her believe that she can be in the same level as a white woman, not seeing the chess game that the white woman was playing to knock her right off the stage of society and knock her down to the bottom of society. Because as many black women bought into feminism, what they didn't see, again, was where their place in the social pecking order was going to be knocked down. And as they took on the traits of the feminist, this is where the black woman wound up not only getting knocked out of her place as related to society, where she was above the white woman in black society, to being knocked all the way down to the bottom of society. And as she was knocked down to the bottom of society, this is where the black woman basically not only wound up losing her social status in black communities, but also lost the ability to develop the skills that would allow her to teach her daughters how to compete in the social marketplace. Because as many of the black women took on the traits of feminists in the 1960s, many of these women basically taught that culture that was basically having a corrupt moral position to their daughters. And as they taught this whole corrupt culture to their daughters, what this did was make it where daughters who were born as part of the baby boomers and Generation X onward were not able to understand how to compete in the social marketplace for the attentions and affections of black men. They were not able to compete because they weren't taught the female life skills that would enable them to learn how to be able to have amicable relationships with men. And that was taught because many of these women learned how to become argumentative, hostile, and just downright cruel. And as they became argumentative, hostile, and cruel, what this did was drive a wedge between black men and black women. And as those women went out in here and had illegitimate children outside of marriage or broke up their homes, what this did was also further condition the daughters to believe that the model for womanhood was to be just like the feminist in being argumentative and hostile. Make her believe that being argumentative and hostile would be the way to go in order to have a relationship with a man. Unfortunately, this is a dysfunctional life paradigm, and anyone who has that relationship, it's just not going to work. And sadly, this is what was developed to be the norm as related to black male and female relationships. And this was all deliberately done by design, because the white supremacist does not want there to be competition. No, the white supremacist does not want there to be any sort of competition in the social marketplace. No, they want there to be a clear lane for white women to be able to gain access to the highest status men of all races, and for those men basically to be mesmerized and spellbound, to basically look to go after those women. Meanwhile, the black woman basically is stuck in a place of stagnation where she's trying to fit herself into a feminist box that is acceptable to white supremacy, not seeing how the white supremacist basically has made her into her own worst enemy, because she's bought into this whole idea of feminism, one that white women don't really buy into, because white women knew the difference between women's rights and feminism, and because they knew that women's rights had been taken care of before the feminist movement, what they did was go out here and get their benefits to be elevated at the top, while the black woman bought into feminism and wound up at the bottom of society in a place worse than she was under Jim Crow. Worse than Jim Crow because, again, as a feminist, she's basically at the bottom of the world because she does not know how to be a helpmeet to a man. No, she's basically become an adversary and a competitor to a man. And becoming an adversary and a competitor to a man basically makes it where she is eliminated herself from the social marketplace, because no man wants to deal with a group of women who are participating in behavior that shows that they don't respect the authority of a man, does not respect the authority of God's order, and is not looking to cooperate with men towards doing the work of God. No, because the black woman has gone out here and looked to compromise with mammon during the days of integration, basically she has put herself on a road to hell, because instead of bearing the fruit of families like generations before, she basically has borne thorns and briars that have led to the raising of these children of the corn who have grown up like stalks because they don't understand their role in God's order as women and don't understand how to help meet the needs of a man. And that's partially due to the black pastor not looking to preach those sermons, because he himself has compromised with mammon, because what he wants to do is basically, instead of preaching the gospel to the black woman about her role as a helpmeet and a support to a man, and preach to her how to be a partner to a man in a relationship, what he does is go out here and compromise with her, talking about blessings and also talking about how she needs to have a man instead of a husband. Because a woman is supposed to be, again, looking to help meet the needs of a man in a marriage, but many black women don't know how to do that because, again, they don't understand how to compete in the social marketplace. They don't know how to compete in the social marketplace because their mothers themselves did not know how to compete in the social marketplace. No, their mothers who were raised in feminism didn't know that when you are out here in the social marketplace, you have to be able to know how to compete, and you compete differently than men. But because the feminist thinks men and women are the same, many women go out here and believe that they can compete the same way that they have to do against a man, not understanding that this is dysfunction. This is dysfunction that they have learned, because a man is not looking for a woman to compete against him. He's looking for a woman to complement him and be a reflection of him. But many black women out here who were raised under feminism don't understand this, and don't understand that your competition is not a man. No, your competition is supposed to be another woman, and your competition is supposed to be another woman for the attentions and affections of a man you're interested in. And again, you compete in the social marketplace for the attention of men that you're looking for as leaders. You're competing for the attention and affection of men you want to follow behind. But in the system of white supremacy, what happens is all of this gets twisted, and instead of black women looking to compete for the leadership of the strongest men, what they do is look to compete against those men for the affections of the system of white supremacy. And as they look to compete for the attentions and affections of the system of white supremacy, they basically work against their communities and work against their families, because the system of white supremacy, again, is not about looking to elevate black women, but looks to tear black women down, and looks to tear black women down by eliminating them as competition, by going out here and programming the black woman to eliminate herself from competition, because the black woman basically, as she eliminates herself from competition, makes a lane for not only the white woman to be able to go after the attentions and affections of the quality black men in the community, but also makes a lane for other minority women, such as Hispanic women, such as Asian women, and even Arab Muslim women, to be able to go after the best and brightest brothers in that community, because as her image is demonized in the eyes of her own men, these women, who basically would be considered to be the leftover women of their societies, now can elevate their status above that of the black woman, who would have been the number one choice as related to those groups, that woman, basically because she is bought into feminism, is not able to compete, and those women who would have been the leftover women of those societies now can go out and push themselves above her. And this is the thing that flies over the heads of many modern black women who buy and step and double down on white feminism. They double down on white feminism, not understanding that white supremacy is again looking to eliminate them as their own competition. And this basically makes it where these women wind up becoming the 70% of black women who are single. Meanwhile, the leftover women of other societies go out here and receive the benefits of getting the attention and affections of those black men. And many black women, again, because they don't understand how to compete, is that they basically wind up throwing away their prime years, and throw away their prime years as related to being able to compete in the social marketplace, going out here and chasing attachments like college degrees, chasing things like jobs. And as they chase these degrees and jobs, what they do is basically further eliminate themselves as competition, because as those leftover women who are in their prime years see these black men, they gain the advantage, and many black women, while they hold on to feminism, talking about how they are doing it for themselves and how they are strong and independent, they really don't understand how little time they have as related to life. They don't understand how little time they have to find a husband. No, because the pastor, again, won't teach them about the Bible, won't teach them about God's order, won't teach them about being a helpmeet, and won't teach them about being a family and teaching the gospel to the next generation. No, the pastor won't talk about these subjects, and because the pastor won't talk about these subjects, many black women buy into the ideas that the feminists told them that they have all the time in the world. And as the feminist tells them they have all the time in the world, they waste their prime years from 18 to about 27, going out here, chasing degrees as attachments, chasing corporate jobs as attachments, and dealing with bottom-feeding males like Pookie. And as they deal with these Pookies, what this does is take them out of the marketplace as related to marriage, and it takes them out of the marketplace as related to marriage, because as they get involved with Pookie, again, their spirit and DNA become attached to Pookie and Ray Ray and Skillet and Man Man. And as that happens, they are not able to bond with a man as related to marriage, and they're not able to even achieve the whole thing of marriage, because they've already thrown everything away, being strong and independent, not understanding that we are all interdependently connected to each other on God's earth. Again, the black woman's foundations are basically undermined and sabotaged by the system of white supremacy. And this is the thing that German woman didn't tell anyone as related to her emotional rant. This German woman basically went out here and told everybody, oh, the black woman is no competition for her. But what she omits is telling everybody the reason why that black woman is no competition for her is that the system of white supremacy made it where that black woman was eliminated as competition, and even worse, became her own worst enemy by eliminating herself as competition, by buying into traits of feminism and believing that these would be socially acceptable and socially attractive, not understanding what this was doing was having her fit right into the stereotypical box that white supremacist women wanted her to be in, where she would act masculine and act all aggressive like many of the old caricatures, such as the Mammy, such as the Sapphire, such as the Jezebel. And as she took on the role that white supremacy wanted her to take, what happened to many black women is, again, they wound up not being able to learn how to compete in the social marketplace, not be able to learn how to compete in the social marketplace as a woman, and instead of looking to compete for the attentions and affections of the black man, who she was supposed to trust in God to lead her, what she did was go out here looking to compete against that man and be a part of white supremacy. And white supremacy basically uses this against the black woman to basically undermine the authority of the black man in black communities, undermine the authority of black men as related to being able to build households and families. And this is what this German woman was omitting as related to her talking points, because what she wanted to do was gloat and brag about all the benefits she was receiving in the system of white supremacy, wanted to gloat and brag about all the benefits she was receiving in the system of white supremacy, because the system of white supremacy gives her an advantage over black women, where she can receive the benefits from black men if she wants, because in this world where we have 4 women for every 1 man, this leftover woman can go out here and go get the black man when the white man and other foreign men no longer have interest in her. When the white man and the foreign men no longer have interest in her, what they can do is they know they can always find a black male who is spellbound and caught up in the system of white supremacy to believe that by getting involved with this woman, it would elevate his social status, to a higher level, and know that she can just go out here, if no other man in her society wants her, she can go find a black man who is Western to get involved with her, and he'll believe that he has a prize, not understanding that this woman is in the junkyard known as Bust Downtown at 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original social marketplace price. And because that man is spellbound and wants to fit himself in the black box of white society, he will basically think he has gotten a prize that basically is a lemon. But you can't tell that to that black man, who will think that he's gotten himself something great, thinking, buying into the system of white supremacy that told him, oh, this woman is the ultimate ideal of beauty. Tell him that this is the ultimate ideal of beauty, and this is the woman who is the highest social status. That is what many black males would believe, like this German woman wants us to believe. But those of us who understand what's going on can see through the BS, and I could see straight through the BS of this woman, could see straight through everything she was saying, because I know how the system of white supremacy works to basically eliminate black women as competition in the social marketplace by downgrading their beauty, downgrading their character, downgrading their moral position, and making the black woman appear to be the least attractive in the world, downgrades the black woman so that the white woman can be elevated to an artificially high position. And this is something many white women don't want people talking about, because they receive so many benefits from the system of white supremacy, and this is how they are allowed to, again, build their families and build their communities, because if they can't go to their white man or can't work with their white man, they know they can always find a black man at the bottom of society. And that is, again, because the system artificially makes it where black women can't compete, because when black women could compete, guess what? We had, again, the highest marriages in the United States from about 1940 to the 1960s. And even before that, we had high marriage rates. But as feminism has come in, it has made it where black women are the least married women, are 70% single, and are unable to find marriage or family. And again, it's all because many black women wanted to be like white women like this, not understanding that the white woman basically is an enemy to black women in the social marketplace. And as an enemy, she doesn't want to compete against you, because to compete against you means she cannot receive the goodies and giveaways and benefits of being in a white supremacist social marketplace, because in a social marketplace that is governed by justice and the order of God, many of these white women would be the leftover women, and these leftover women would basically have to fend for themselves, and as they would have to fend for themselves, they would be in a situation where they would be far worse off than they would be in the rigged system of white supremacy. Now, if you want to learn more about why black women are not able to compete in the social marketplace, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find Why 70% of Black Women Are Single at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn how women became feminist and basically wound up unable to function is related to having healthy relationships, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Smashwords, Draft Digital, and Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And I also talk about the divide between black women and white women in my screenplay All About Marilyn and my novel The Temptation of John Haynes. And I talk about the whole concept of spellbound black men. And again, you can find all three of those books at the same online booksellers I just mentioned. And if you want to see me be able to make more videos going in depth on subjects like this, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available for the first time in paperback, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Learn all the reasons why so many black women can't find a husband and why 70% of black women are single. Get your copy of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com today.
Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.